381. A bird communicator. In the territory of Zhongzhou, there was a Taoist who went to the countryside to beg for food. After eating, he heard an oriole chirping for a while, and he told the host to beware of fire. The host asked him why, and he replied, "I heard the bird say, the big fire is hard to save, it's terrible. Everyone laughed at him and didn't take any precautions. The next day, the house really caught fire, the fire spread, and several houses were burned, and then they realized the magic of the Taoist. Some good people caught up with him, called him an immortal, and the Taoist said, "I just understand bird language, where is the immortal?" Just then, a brown sparrow was chirping in the tree. Everyone asked the Taoist what the sparrow was saying. The Taoist said, "The sparrow is saying, born on the 6th, died on the 14th and 16th. I think this family may have given birth to a pair of twins. Today is the 10th. In 5 or 6 days, the 2 children will die together." People went to this family to ask, and sure enough, 2 sons were born, and after a while, they both died, and the date was the same as what the Taoist said. The county magistrate of the county heard about the peculiarities of the Taoist, so he summoned him and treated him as a guest. Just as a group of ducks passed by, the county magistrate asked the Taoist what the duck said, and the Taoist said, "Your inner family must have disputes." The duck said, "Don't be so fickle. Whose side are you on?" The county magistrate was greatly admired when he heard it. It turned out that the county magistrate's big wife and little wife had just quarreled, and the county magistrate had just been quarreled out. So the county magistrate kept the Taoist in the county office and treated him very well. The Taoist often distinguishes bird language, most of which are said to be correct, and the Taoist is simple and rude, speaks straightforwardly, and does not know taboo. The county magistrate is very greedy, and all the items supplied to the yamen from all places, he converts them into money and puts them in his own waste bag. One day, the county magistrate and the Taoist were sitting, and a group of ducks came again, and the county magistrate asked the Taoist again. The Taoist said, "What they said today is different from before. They are calculating your account." The county magistrate asked, "What account is calculated?" The Taoist said, "It said 108 candles, 1008 silver beads." The county magistrate was very ashamed and suspected that the Taoist was deliberately mocking him. The Taoist asked to leave here, and the county magistrate did not allow it. After a few days, the county magistrate hosted a banquet to entertain guests. Suddenly heard the cry of the cuckoo. The guests asked the Taoist. The Taoist said, "The bird said, lose the official and go." The guests heard it, and they were shocked. The county magistrate was furious and immediately drove the Taoist out. It didn't take long for the county magistrate to be dismissed from office because of corruption and bribery. Alas, this is a warning from the immortals to the county magistrate, but the county magistrate is drunk with greed and never wakes up in the end. The custom of Qi land calls cicadas xiaoqian, and the small green cicadas are called dual. In the county, there are a father and son, both of whom were demoted to the students of Qingyi and the students of the social school in the annual test in the township. They are preparing to take the annual test again. At this time, a cicada suddenly stopped on their coat, and the father happily said, "Xiaoqian, it's a good omen. We are going to be promoted step by step." A book boy took a look and said, "It's not xiaoqian, it's dual. Dual is synonymous with all over, and the father and son were particularly unhappy after hearing this. Soon the two of them took the annual test and were all brushed down. 382. Heavenly Palace. Guosheng is a young man from Kyoto in his 20s, handsome and talented. One evening, as dusk approached, an old lady brought a jug of wine to him. Guosheng found it strange why she would send wine for no apparent reason. The old lady smiled and said, "No need to ask. After drinking it, you will naturally arrive at a good place." With that, she left. Guosheng uncovered the jug and took a sniff, the aroma of the wine wafting out. Curious, he decided to drink it. After finishing the wine, Guosheng suddenly felt intoxicated and lost all awareness. When he woke up, he found himself lying next to someone. Feeling their skin, which was smooth like grease, and catching a scent of musk, he realized it was a woman. When he asked her who she was, she didn't reply but engaged with him intimately. After their encounter, Guosheng felt the wall, realizing it was made of stone, emanating earthy smell, much like a tomb. Shocked, he suspected he had been deceived by a female ghost. He asked her, "What kind of spirit are you?" She replied, "I'm not a ghost, but a celestial being. This is a cave dwelling. We have a karmic connection from our past lives. Don't be alarmed, just settle down calmly. Beyond another door, there's a place lit by daylight where you can relieve yourself." Then the woman got up, closed the door, and left. After a while, Guosheng felt hungry, and a young maid brought him noodles and duck soup, allowing him to eat in the darkness. With no way to distinguish between day and night, he soon realized it was nighttime when the woman returned to sleep. Guosheng complained, "In the daytime, there's no sunlight, and at night, there are no lights. I can't even find my mouth when eating. Always in such darkness. What's the difference between Chang'e and Rakshasa? What's the distinction between heaven and hell?" The woman chuckled and replied, "Because you are a person from the mortal world, talkative and fond of revealing secrets, I don't want you to see my appearance. Besides, in the darkness, you can still discern beauty from ugliness. Why bother with lighting the way?" After staying for a few days, Guosheng felt extremely bored and repeatedly requested to temporarily return. The woman said, "Tomorrow, I will take you to visit the heavenly palace, and then we will part ways." The next day, a maid with a lantern suddenly came in and said, "Madam has been waiting for you for a long time." Guosheng followed her out. Under the starry night sky, he saw countless towers and pavilions. After passing through several corridors, they arrived at a place where the hall was draped with pearl curtains and lit by huge candles, illuminating it as bright as daylight. Inside, Guosheng saw a beautiful woman dressed in magnificent clothes sitting facing south. She appeared to be around 20 years old, wearing a dazzling silk robe with pearls on her head trembling around her. Even the ground was illuminated by short candles, shining beneath the woman's skirt, truly resembling a celestial maiden. Guosheng was dazzled and at a loss. Without thinking, he wanted to kneel and pay his respects, but the woman had the maid help him up and pulled him to sit down. Soon, a feast filled the table, and the woman urged him to drink, saying, "Drink this cup as a farewell toast for you." Guosheng bowed and said, "Before, I met you without knowing the true face of the celestial being, feeling truly anxious and uneasy. If the celestial being forgives my past sins and is willing to accept me as a faithful servant for life, I am willing." The woman smiled at the maid and ordered the feast to be moved to the bedroom. In the bedroom, there was a tasseled embroidered canopy, and the bedding was fragrant and soft. The woman asked Guosheng to sit on the bed. While drinking, the woman repeatedly said, "You've been away from home for a long time. It's okay to return temporarily." As the night progressed, Guosheng didn't bid farewell. The woman asked the maid to escort him with a lantern. Guosheng remained silent, pretending to be drunk, and fell asleep on the bed, not responding even when shaken. The woman ordered several maids to help undress him. They carried him to bed, laughing loudly as they left. The woman also got on the bed, and only then did Guosheng turn around. The woman asked, "Are you drunk?" Guosheng replied, "How could I be drunk? Just seeing a celestial being, my spirit is overwhelmed." The woman said, "This is the heavenly palace. You should have left earlier before dawn. If you find the cave too boring, it's better to return early." Guosheng said, "Nowadays, someone may obtain a famous flower at night, smelling its fragrance, touching its branches, but suffers from not being able to see it due to lack of light. How can such feelings be endured?" The woman laughed and agreed to provide him with light. By the fourth watch, the woman instructed the maid to light the lantern and carried his clothes to escort Guosheng inside. Inside the cave, he saw exquisite decorations all around, and the sleeping area was laid with thick palm mats. Guosheng took off his shoes and got into bed, but the maid kept circling around and refused to leave. Guosheng took a closer look at her and found her charming and lovely, so he joked, "Are you the one who called me uncivilized?" The maid laughed and playfully kicked the pillow with her foot, saying, "You should lie down. Don't say any more." Guosheng then asked about the celestial being's name, birthplace, and rank. The maid said, "Don't ask any more. It's neither heaven nor the same as the mortal realm. If you must know her true situation, I'm afraid you'll have no place to bury yourself." Guosheng dared not ask any further. The next evening, the woman indeed came with candles and stayed with Guosheng, and this became a regular occurrence thereafter. One evening, a woman entered and said, "I initially intended to be with you for a long time, but circumstances have changed. Today, I must clean the heavenly palace and can no longer keep you here. Please say goodbye with this cup of wine." Guosheng cried and pleaded with the woman to leave something as a keepsake. The woman declined, but gave him a pound of gold and 100 pearls. After drinking 3 cups of wine, Guosheng suddenly lost consciousness. When he woke up, he felt as if his limbs were tightly bound, unable to move his legs or even lift his head. He struggled and eventually fell off the bed, feeling his entire body wrapped in brocade and tightly tied with fine ropes. After sitting up and carefully recalling, Guosheng vaguely saw his bed and window, realizing he was in his own study. By this time, Guosheng had been away from home for 3 months, and his family thought he was dead. Guosheng was afraid to speak out about his experiences, fearing punishment from the celestial being, but he harbored many doubts. He secretly confided in his close friend, but no one could guess the mystery behind it. The brocade was placed at the head of his bed, filling the room with fragrance. Upon opening it, Guosheng found it to be made of lake cotton mixed with spices, so he cherished it. Later, a high-ranking official heard about the incident and asked Guosheng about the details. Then he laughed and said, "This is a method used by Empress Jia of the Jin dynasty. How could a celestial being do this? Even so, this matter should be kept strictly confidential. If leaked, it could implicate the entire family." A witch who often visited noble houses mentioned that the shape of the building was very similar to the residence of Yan Donglu, the son of Yan Song. Hearing this, Guosheng panicked and fled with his family. Shortly after, they heard that the Yan family had been executed by the court, so Guosheng and his family returned. Mr. Isher remarks, "Tall towers shrouded in mist, with the air filled with fragrant scents from embroidered canopies, and young servants pacing lightly, their shoes adorned with pearls." This scene is not the extravagant indulgence of powerful corrupt officials or the ostentatious display of wealthy families. Witnessing the reckless gambling of lust, where the luxurious abode turns a cherished wife into a desolate woman of the Chang'an Gate, where emotions grow wild like weeds before the spitting pot has dried. The loneliness of an empty bed, the solitary lamp burning through the long night, it breaks one's heart. Gazing into the mirror, reminiscing with sorrow, staring at the embroidered canopy. Thus, some find a pathway to the heavenly palace through the influence of alcohol. The tenderness displayed makes one suspect they are celestial maidens. The disgrace of the Yan family is not shameful enough, but those who keep concubines should take this as a warning, even those who are left alone in empty rooms.